Welcome to Easy Evangelism. This is PJ here. This is the channel where we equip every believer to do extraordinary things simply because they obey Jesus. Like, share with Hindus. Today I got a special training video for you, how to share the gospel with Hindus using the very popular 3 circles gospel share that's taking the evangelism world by storm. So tell me, brother, what have you learned? How can we be set free from that endless cycle of death and sin and misery and disease? How can we find moksha? Have you achieved perfection? I mean, do you have 100% good karma? Then you can say, brother, I got some good news for you today. It's a message I've learned how we can be set free from that endless cycle of samsara, of sin and misery and death, how we can achieve moksha. And it's really a gift. It's good news. You know, I could share this with you really quick, just in a picture of just 3 circles. It won't take really long. Let me share it with you. So we just talked about how in this life we are caught in this endless cycle of sin and misery and death, and we're longing to be set free. We're longing to achieve moksha, to be set free. But we're always stuck in this cycle. Everyone we've ever known has always been stuck in sin and misery and death and disease. We see disease and death all around us. In our own life, we always seem to be stuck. And so a lot of us try to free ourselves from this cycle of samsara. Maybe it's through religion, doing good things, doing good works. That's what you just mentioned. You know, we can be set free from samsara, but by our good works. But you know what? We're just like a rubber band. You know, if we're attached to the end of that rubber band, we're trying to get away from samsara. It always pulls us back because none of us can get 100% good karma. Others just kind of ignore that whole thing and they just live the good life. You know, they work hard, do dharma, fulfill their obligations to their parents. But you know what? They also just want to achieve and earn and get money and possessions. But like that rubber band again, we're attached to that and we get pulled right back into samsara. Others of us just ignore working hard and being religious and just live the good life. You know, what's the point? I'm always stuck in it, so I'm just going to live the good life. I'm going to party. I'm going to, drinking and drugs and women and all that. But that, too, we're attached to that rubber band that pulls us back in. So we're just stuck in this brokenness and this cycle of samsara, of sin and misery and death, and religion and doing the dharma doesn't get us out, and working hard doesn't get us out, and, just living hard doesn't get us out. But, this is not the way God intended it to be. In the very beginning, there was God, and He made all things. Bhagwan. In Bhagwan world, He made a beautiful world, right? Trees and beaches and just beautiful places. And wherever God is, that is heaven, right? That is Parmlok, right? In Parmlok, the very best of anything He ever made was people, was us, men and women. And in the beginning, we had a perfect relationship with God in Parmlok. We were there. God was holy. Bhagwan was holy. We were holy. We had perfect karma. And so then we had a perfect relationship with God in Parmlok. And there was perfect sukh. There was perfect joy and happiness. Everything was good. There was no sin and death and misery. There was no samsara. Is that the way it is now? No, it sure isn't. What happened? This is what happened. We were to walk the dharma. We were to perfectly fulfill all the obligations that we have that were made by God, by Bhagwan, for us in Parmlok. But we were deceived by Shaitan. Shaitan came in and deceived us. He said, hey, you no longer have to obey the Dharma. You just be your own king. You be your own God. You be your own boss. You call your own shots. And in that way, you can have perfect sukh, perfect joy. Disobeying God in this way is what we call pop. It's doing our own thing. It's running away from God, from Bhagwan. And you know what? When that happened, we lost. See, we're running away. We lost Parmlok, and we fell into this endless cycle of sin and misery of death, samsara. And ever since then, we want to get back to Parmlok, but we're stuck, and we want and we long for moksha, for deliverance from death and sin and misery. God is good. God is good, and he didn't want to leave us in this sin and misery and death. And so he provided another way for us. And that way was through sending the perfect one, the Muktidata Yeshu, his son, his perfect son, that was with him from eternity, took on flesh and lived among us. He was the Satguru, the perfect teacher. He was the Muktidata, the deliverer. He is Prabhu Yeshu. He perfectly fulfilled the Dharma. He has 100% good karma. He never did pop. He always did what was right and what was good. He was a good guru. He is God in the flesh. He is truly the one, as the word guru means, leads from darkness to light. He is the light of the world. He had miraculous powers. He had the power of God because he is God. And so he gave sight to people who were born blind, had never seen before. Doctors today can't do that. He raised people from the dead. He had the very power of life and death, just as God does. People who had been born lame, he caused them to walk. He freed them from all their diseases. He was not a lover of money. Religious people and gurus, they often take money from their bhakti, their followers, their disciples. But Yeshu only gave, Prabhu Yeshu only gave to his disciples. In fact, he would ultimately give his own life for his disciples. He didn't have a home that he could call his own. Many religious leaders have wives, but Prabhu Yeshu, he never touched a woman. In fact, he was never even married. He was perfectly gave himself completely to God, to Bhagwan. He was a man of peace. He said, if you get slapped on one side of your face, turn and let him slap the other as well. So he was a perfect Satguru. He perfectly fulfilled the Dharma that we were supposed to fulfill, but failed and fell into samsara. He came to set us free from that by living the life that we cannot live, perfectly fulfilling all our obligations to Bhagwan, to God. Best of all, he came for a very special reason. So all gurus, they take from their bhakti, their disciples, their followers. But Prabhu Yeshu came to give himself. When you go to the temple, you take a coconut and you break that coconut, offering puja. All right, so the outside of the coconut, what does it look like? Right, it's brown, it's dirty, it's dark. So just like us, we are covered in pop, and we're caught in that dark cycle of sin and misery and death. But when you break the coconut and you open it, what comes out? Right, perfect water. Prabhu Yeshu, like that coconut, was broken. He was God in the flesh, so on the outside of him didn't look like much, but when he was broken, his perfect blood was poured out, so that all who trust, believe in Prabhu Yeshu, Satguru Yeshu, and they turn from their pop and from their sin and this cycle of death and misery, and they follow Prabhu Yeshu as their king, as their master, then his blood cleanses us from all our pop and frees us from this cycle of sin and death and misery. You crack the coconut, and out comes that water, and the inside of the coconut, what does it look like? Right, it's white, it's pure, it's holy. And so we too, if we turn from our own way, turn from all other gods, and we trust and follow Prabhu Yeshu in his perfect life, then we will be cleansed. We will be cleansed of all our bad karma. In fact, Yeshu, Satguru Yeshu, gives us all his good karma and takes from us all our bad karma on himself and cleanses us from all of it. And then we are given the gift of Parmlok, to be with God, with Bhagwan forever, just as he intended from the beginning. But here's even the best news. Where any guru who's lived dies, but Prabhu Yeshu, Satguru Yeshu, the Muktidata, did not stay dead. He rose from the dead and went straight to Parmlok, where he says, if you trust and believe in me, I will be preparing a place for you in Parmlok, and I'll come again and take you to myself. I will set you free. I am Moksha. I will set you free from samsara, from death and misery and sin. So that does sound like good news, doesn't it? So let me ask you another question. Do you have 100% good karma? Are you going to be set free by having 100% good karma? No, you don't. You don't have 100% good karma, do you? Do you want to be set free? Do you want moksha from that bad karma? Yeah, sure you do. So what's keeping you now? What's preventing you from following Satguru Yeshu as your king, as your boss, as your Prabhu? He has the perfect 100% good karma, and he's willing to give you that if you turn from following your own way, following other gods, and trust and follow him. Are you willing to do that now? So that is the 3 circles for Hindus. I hope you can use this. Go ahead and review. Go ahead and go back in the video, stop it, practice the 3 circles. So Jesus said, follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. We can't be a follower of Jesus without being a fisher of men. So if you're a follower of Jesus, go and fish for men. All right. Namaskar.